For a while I've been watching the stippling phenomena, taking your polymer P-mags and putting a nice stippled finish or a texture with a hot iron, either a soldering iron, wood burning iron, and really makes it look good. But to be honest with you, good looks aren't what make me motivated to do this. But after thinking about this and watching a couple of pretty good videos, this is an excellent way to add a lot of texturing to the magazine itself. I've seen a lot of the little tape where you can take pool tape and put it in the little slots there. And while that's all well and good, this is much more of a permanent fix. And then also, it's great to be able to identify your magazine. Now, if I'm with a big group of guys that have a lot of P-mags, either in a competition or in a defensive carbine class, magazines get dropped and sometimes left. And this way, you can identify your magazine because of your stippling job. So good looks, function, and identification, that's 3 good reasons to stipple your mags. Now the ribs on the standard P-mag definitely give you a little bit of a gripping surface to be able to grab it. And really, I've not complained a lot about it. I felt like that was adequate enough. But once you put a really nice stippling job on the magazine, not only does it really contrast and look really nice and custom, but it really gives a texture that's a lot more effective than this slick surface. Pulling your magazines out of an assault vest or a magazine pouch, and it definitely helps entering the magazine into the magazine well. This is taking a magazine and making little dots, and I'm going to tell you, this is very time consuming. Now, one process that I found that was really easy to do and very quick are these diagonal lines. And you just use diagonal lines all the way across in all your recesses. It gives a good finish to it. It gives it also a contrast similar to the stippled. The stippled looks a little nicer, but to be honest with you, this is effective, it looks good, and this does everything I need, and it really takes about 1/3 of the time. Now all you need is a good soldering iron or one of the wood burners where you can change the tip to have different types. I like that a little better. This is a soldering iron, and you get really far back from the tip, so your control is not quite as good. With this, you have better control. Plus, it gives you a little bit of a flange here to be able to hold on to it. Because if you touch these discs here, it's hot. Whatever design you want to create, I mean, the sky's the limit. Now, to keep things kind of lined up, I just go along the top edge and just make my little dots. Try to stay in the lines, and then just go down and do my other next row. This is definitely a little more time consuming, but the result is really nice. Any areas you miss, like right here, if I want to come back, just hit these areas I can if I'm that picky about it. It's just really up to the individual. Either way, this is going to really help with the aggressive texturing to be able to pull this magazine out with a little more confidence, a little less slippage. Now all I do is just start a line just from one point to another, just trying to stay parallel. Gives it a nice look, but this is definitely by far the fastest way to do this. Now I like to keep it outside of the P-mag, but you could go ahead and use that area and go directly into it. Now the way I like to start is just get in a corner and then just begin to draw a straight line, keeping these lines as parallel as possible. But that's not really important. You know, you can go back and correct it if you make a mistake. The slower you go, the more aggressive it's going to be. The quicker you go, the less material that's going to melt. So it's just according to how aggressive you want it. And then if you get it too aggressive, you can always use sandpaper to tone it down. Nice texturing. Super smooth here. Again, this is not as aggressive. The stippling is definitely more aggressive and will be a little easier to grip hold of, but not too bad. It's really got a nice feel to it. Of course, here we have the dark earth. Has a nice texturing to it, good contrast with the base magazine. These areas up top you can finish off, get as close as you want or as far back as you want. So you get a nice look to it, you get some aggressive texturing to be able to retain your magazine and pull it out from your gun, and then also it identifies your magazines. You're not going to be as out to get your magazines mixed up or lost with someone else's. Especially with PMags right now being difficult to find, and if you do, you have to pay an arm and a leg. It's really great to be able to have these identified as your magazines. Now here's a different pattern that I kind of started experimenting with, and I really kind of perfected it on this one more than this one. But once you start doing the cross pattern, then you can do what I call the cross hatch. And you just do diagonal lines. And what I've done is I've done 4. And then I'll move down about the same distance. Do 4 more lines. But you get kind of a good aggressive pattern that way. A little more than you do with just the straight lines, and it doesn't take as much time as just the stippling. Now here's one of the Thermold magazines. These are made in Wilson, North Carolina. I've had this magazine way before Magpul started making PMags. And it works fine. The polymer on this does just as well. And a decent little magazine for the money, I'll tell you. I've had this one, like I say, for a number of years and never had any issues from it. Make sure whatever you do, don't stipple this part here that goes into the magazine well. You don't want any restrictions, keeping that free from any stippling. You don't need it anyway because this is going to be in the gun. Plus, when you're putting your magazine down in your mag pouch, this will allow it to be a little more free than here. Now here's a little IO Hellcat that I've had for a while, and I went ahead and stippled right here at the front strap around the back strap because it does have these lines that actually work pretty decent. And this gives you a good gripping surface. With most of these micro compact 380s, they're so thin that you're not even gripping this area. You're gripping front to back right here. And this gives you a little something extra to hold on to. Now on this one I went ahead and stippled the magazine release and then the magazine, because if you release it, it gives you a gripping surface, a texture to be able to pull your magazine out a little easier. And if you take your time, it can really look nice. Now here's the Glock 26, and it has one of the kits that you just apply an adhesive with texturing. And I've had it like this for a good while, and to be honest with you, I really like it. But with the stippling, it's a permanent fix, and also it doesn't add any width to the pistol itself. It took me as long to do the stippling with the little pinpoints as it did all the other magazines doing the diagonal lines. So how you want to do it is up to you. It's all about personal preference. But if you're looking for something quick and easy, I would definitely recommend the diagonal lines. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Here we go. Such has a patent number.